Hello and welcome to the New Normal with Steve Benaquist. I'm New Normal and this is the Steve Benaquist. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm mad. And I don't mean in the original sense of the word that I'm insane. I mean that I'm angry, I'm offended, and you should be too, as loyal viewers of the program. I got a letter that I'm going to start off the show with before we get any of the normal business out of the way. First this. This is a serious news and opinion program started, as you may recall, in May of 2020 in the beginnings of the depths, if depths can have beginnings, of both the pandemic, the election year, before even the racial tension exploded after the death of George Floyd. It began when he was still living and breathing, and yes, we are paid for by me and by generous viewers. We have the Valderrama mic, we have the Bradley Bob's lighting system, and we have the Quant Slob and Susie Williams Air, and many others, people who have bought t-shirts, who have just given generously, people who have paid for videos of me eating salad for 22 minutes. That's all available to you. But we do not have advertisers, and it is no secret, however, that I am fully willing to entertain offers when they come. Not if they come, but when they come from CNN, MSNBC, perhaps someone unexpected, maybe Bloomberg. We'll see. However, I was insulted when I got this letter, which I will read before getting around to the rest. This comes to us from Dallas in Seattle, Ohio. Dallas writes, "Dear Steve, you claim to be a journalist and editorial commentator. Yes, I do. But all I ever see on the New Normal is you just sitting there spanking it, answering dumb, fake letters, talking about old movies and TV shows, and wasting time, yours and every viewer's. You really expect CNN to sign you when you read letters from Casper in Friendly Ghost, Wyoming? Even if you really received that letter, why would you believe that it was real? The town doesn't exist. Get real, Steve. Dallas." Well, yes, Dallas. Friendly Ghost, Wyoming does exist. There is a Casper in Wyoming, if you can read a map, and as part of Ye Old West, Wyoming has ghost towns. You do the math. All right, and also, I do not appreciate you using the phrase spanking it. I don't have children, but I don't believe in corporal punishment, so even if I did, I wouldn't be spanking it. And whatever gender my child might be, I would never refer to it as it. So wrong on 2 counts, Dallas. I don't know how you do things in Seattle, but maybe it's an Ohio thing. All right, moving on. We've got a lot up. Here's the little table of contents. We've got a public new normal, talking about the things that are new and normal for all of us. A little dip into my own private, personal new normal, as usual. And that will segue into another edition of Spoiler Alerts, because I went to the movies. And then a couple of letters, and you'll get back to your own personal new normal. And then you can write me about it and watch me talk about it next episode. All right, the public new normal. We did not reach, on this recent 4th of July weekend, the 70% rate of vaccination among adults or the general population that President Biden did set out as a goal. Now, pundits, not pundits, which is not a word, a lot of pundits do say, and sorry, Seth Meyers, who I otherwise think is a genius, but not pundits. See the attention to detail, MSNBC? Pundits have said that President Biden shouldn't have put that goal out there because it just set the trap for him, for people who already disagreed with him, to intentionally not get the vaccine. And I would say, if those people weren't already not going to get the vaccine, then we would have seen a sudden upsurge after July 4th. They could say, ah ha ha, President Biden who stole the election. Now I'm vaccinated, but I did it on July 6th because the Monday following Sunday, July 4th, was still a holiday and the vaccine centers were, some of them were closed. But I went and got a vaccine after that, just to prove you wrong. Well, that didn't happen. So I think those people may have been doing it to thumb their nose at the president, but I don't think that was it. All right, moving on. My personal new normal is that I went to the movies. Yes, I did. And realizing now I didn't have popcorn at the movies, which is... I had some Milk Duds, though. And you know what? I'd say dud is a misnomer because those things are winners all the way. I mean, a bit of caramel, a bit of milk chocolate on the outside. What more could any red-blooded moviegoer want? Write in your answers to that question if you would. I saw a double feature. So that's why we're going to have a double spoiler alert. I'm going to spoil two movies for you. One 50 years old, one 47 years old. So you've had plenty of time to see them, if you've ever heard of them. This is at the New Beverly. This is a revival house that's been around in Los Angeles for quite a long time. It was a porn theater in the 60s and 70s, and then was turned into a revival house, which means they screen old films that are not in current circulation, with a few exceptions. And I've been going there since the 90s. And my dad would take me. I would be in my diaper, and I'd say, Daddy, Dad, don't show me the scary movie. And he'd say, Steve, you're at least in your teens. Stop talking like that. Anyway, and now Quentin Tarantino is the owner, and he often screens movies that inspired him, grindhouse favorites. This was a tribute to Monty Hellman. Oh, I should be whispering. Spoiler alert. Okay, this is all ready. Spoiler alert. So Monty Hellman died on 4/20, April 20th of this year, and this was a tribute to him. And that's both the birthday of Hitler and weed. So that's a special day, but and unfortunately the day that Monty Hellman died. Hellman directed a lot of interesting films in the 70s, and Tulane was the first. And this husky whispering. It's making me thirsty. Tulane Blacktop is about a subculture of drag racing in the Southwest. The American Southwest, not the Ukrainian Southwest. I've gotten enough letters asking me to clear that up in past episodes, okay? And the two drivers are first-time actors and also last-time actors. They never acted again, but they did a great job. It's Dennis Love, the drummer for the Beach Boys, as the mechanic. And of all people, James Taylor, singer James Taylor of the Mighty Nostrils, and lovely voice as a tough, rail-thin driver who they go around challenging people, and then they race the hell out of them with their 55 Chevy. They pick up a girl, Laurie Bird. She's also a first-time actor. She's great. It's this sort of cinema verite, 70s approach to filmmaking where that's very real, it's very natural. People don't talk a lot. The only real pro in the cast is Warren Oates. And there he is. Yes, you might be asking, as I was, how did middle-aged Al Franken get his hands on a time machine, go back to the early 70s and become a fine dramatic actor? He's a fine comedian, fine politician, but that I didn't know was in his wheelhouse. Excuse me. But he's great as GTO, a middle-aged guy going through a midlife crisis, which is the best time to go through a midlife crisis when you're middle-aged. And they race across the country. And so, double spoiler alert. I did tell you this is a movie about racing. I only saw one spoiler in the whole movie, and that was on the back of GTO, who's the one faker in the movie. And I would say, therefore, that spoilers don't do shit. I think that they are just kind of like truck nuts, something big to hang off your car. Anyway, I did promise I'd spoil the movie for you, and if you care about movies, if you're ever going to see this, please just fast forward to the next 15 seconds, because it will ruin a really cool thing for you. So the movie ends, they're racing, you don't know who's going to get to Washington, D.C. first, and then it looks like the film is dissolving, just going to pieces and burning up in the projector, which won't make sense to you if you don't see it in a movie theater. You'd be like, why is my DVD burning up in film? Anyway, it's dreamlike, it's awesome, it's filmic, and I and all the film nerds around me in the New Beverly all had orgasms over it. All right, moving on to film number 2, also starring Warren Oates, also had Laurie Bird. They both also had Harry Dean Stanton. This one's called Cockfighter, 1974, and guess what? It's about cockfighting, another weird, dangerous subculture, also in the South, but in this case, the Southeast, again, of the United States, not another country, and every time cockfighter is said, a lot of giggling was heard among the audience. A lot of young folk, me too, you know, we're all giggling because it's ridiculous. Here's an interesting thing I noted. There's an actor who looks like and sounds like an older James Earl Jones. But it was just some guy named Robert Earl Jones. So I guess a little red herring there. That was weird. All right, in the end, another spoiler is many cocks die in this. You see actual cockfighting. It is disturbing. Bummer, spoiler for real life alert. Cockfighting still happens around the United States and is especially popular around Latin America, where it is known as luchas de pinga, I believe. All right, that's it for spoiler alert. Let's move on to just a couple letters, viewer mail, and that'll be it for this week's show. Here we go, return customer. We have Jim in Manhattan Beach who wrote us a couple of shows ago. Jim writes, it doesn't look friendly to start off with. Letter to the New Normal. This is Jim from Manhattan Beach. I couldn't help but notice that you mentioned me in episode 121. I've since gathered my legal team, and they have concluded that I should be getting a cut of the megabucks that we know this show is generating. If we can agree to a 50-50 split, I think we can keep this matter out of court. What say you? Well, Jim, you think I was born yesterday? First of all, we may or may not be making megabucks. This vintage suit doesn't pay for itself. I paid for it once, a long time ago. But what the audience doesn't know, Jim, is that you sold me a rather pricey bike rack for a mere 40 bucks. On top of which, you let me leave my car parked in your garage for a quick jaunt to the beach at a time when there was no parking available, which would have cost me at least 20 bucks if I could even have found parking. So let's just say we're even, all right? All right. We do have one more letter, and that is from Pat in Flat Plains, Kansas. Thank you, Pat. And that just about does it for this episode of The New Normal with Steve Benaquist. Till next time, I'm Steve Benaquist, reminding you that if it ain't new, it ain't normal.